Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series. I'm at ConBravo. I'm a guest of the convention. How cool is that? They flew me out and all that fun stuff. And I'm in here helping my buddies set up their table here, which as you can see is pretty cool. I'm going to give a quick look at some of the stuff that's set up right now. Yep, that's right. I was brought up to ConBravo. Now, ConBravo, I didn't make this clear, is in Hamilton, which is a city about an hour south of Toronto, obviously in Canada. So it was cool to get another trip up to Canada. I love going to Canada, man, especially the Southern Ontario area, the Greater Toronto land area, if you will. But yeah, so there's my buddy Scott, the Canadian. You'll see a lot of him in this footage. I do apologize. I know it gets sickening after a while. But yeah, this clip in particular, I just wanted to give you guys a sense of what the convention looked like the main hall before it's set up, because that's what everybody was doing. So this was on the Friday. It was a 3-day event. Now, the convention is all things geek. That's how it self-describes. So it's got all sorts of things for all sorts of purposes. This was the like the video game room, like the arcade room. You know, have all sorts of different like arcades and DDR machines. You know what I'm talking about. They had a lot of other ones that I wasn't as interested in. Things like board game rooms and stuff. That's J-Rock the Gamer. Shout out to him. Obviously, very pleasant Canadian fellow. But yeah, lots of stuff like that. Now, because I was a guest of the convention, they gave me a bunch of panels. The first panel I was at was actually this. This was like a big autograph panel. They basically put a bunch of us all at this table there, and then, you know, people would come out and have us sign stuff. That right there, that guy on the right, that's Ryan Gino, the Airzonk world champion. He has like a big tattoo of it. He's actually got the highest score in the world in Airzonk. Someone told me he has something like 18 of Guinness World Records for like various video games, which I was like, holy shit, because I knew he was the Airzonk world champ. I didn't know he held 18 records. So if that's not true, Ryan, then sorry, but that's what I was told. So cool guy for sure. And you might notice next to me there is my buddy Shane, aka Rerez. Awesome dude. Definitely check out his channel. We did a live stream together, you guys might have seen. The dude right here who came up, by the way, that's a cool guy named Wesley, who I'll be talking a little bit about later. Nice guy. Yeah, but again, if you missed the live stream that I was talking about, it was myself, Shane, and Scott the Canadian did like an hour, maybe like an hour and a half long Q&A thing. You guys could all check out. It's up on the channel. But yeah, it was just really cool that a lot of people came out to meet us and get autographs and stuff. It was very nice of them. I also had a bunch of panels there. I ended up with, I want to say, like 2 Q&A panels. There's a creepy guy, and there's Shane. He's not as creepy. I tried to make him look creepy, but as you can see, it didn't work. He looks like I'm like trying hard, but he just doesn't look creepy. I can look creepy easily. But yeah, this was a panel that I did with a few different people. Obviously Shane there. That's Erica there. I'll put a link to both of their channels in the description. You can check them out. Yeah, so this was like as I recall, was just a general like Q&A on any number of things, mostly about retro video games, of course, but it wasn't specifically dedicated to that. You know, I asked him if I was going to be on some sort of a retro game panel, and they actually said, you know what, we could do that, and they went ahead and added one later in the day, and that was this is like the only clip of that. This is specifically a retro game panel. Those two guys you saw right there, I know it's really brief. The guy in like the business suit, his name is Julian. The guy next to him is a buddy of mine, his name Mike. Both of them are friends, and then the girl next to them was his girlfriend, Mike's girlfriend, named Sarah. Both really good dudes. Sarah's really nice. Here, this is Andrew and Pete's booth. They were selling video games. There was another booth selling video games. Also, I want to give another shout out to Julian, because at one point I just kind of gave him my camera, and he went ahead and started shooting a lot of footage for me, which made my job a hell of a lot easier. So thank you, Julian, for doing that. But yeah, I think from here on out, it's mostly his footage. He just kind of wandered around the convention. We can actually explore this together, guys. I have never seen any of this footage. I know, how professional. I didn't screen it or anything. But yeah, so wander around. Let's just comment on it together. What are you guys seeing? What am I seeing? This is like some sort of game we can all play together. But as you can see, a lot of people who are doing all sorts of cosplay, lots of cosplay. I think this was all shot on the Sunday. of that event, because it's a 3-day event. So the biggest day of the event is Saturday, but Saturday I want to say I have 3 panels on Saturday. I had one at noon, one at 2, and one at 6. In between the 2 and the 6 one, we ended up getting lunch at some point. And I almost did a 4th one that day. They came up to me at one point and they were like, hey, we're thinking about doing like a voice impressionist panel. Would you be interested in being on that? And I'm like, do I do voices that you know of? And they're like, no. And I'm like, but what? Because I actually do Mickey Mouse's voice, and I do Stitch's voice for, you know, Disney characters from some other Let's Play stuff that I do. But I didn't know if they knew that or not, and they apparently didn't. I think they were just like, yeah, you know, you sound like you could do voices, which I can. Oh, hi everybody, I'm Mickey Mouse.
And I'm Stitch, and let's go to Disneyland. Yay, Lilo and Stitch.
Thing is, I never really know what to say as them other than massive vulgar things, but that's something you can check out on Game Society Pimps, my other channel. But yeah, so I could have done that, but I didn't have the time because, you know, I think they wanted to try and wedge that in like during my second panel. I don't know. It was I remember there being like all sorts of confusion over the times, and that's why I couldn't end up doing it. Kind of regret it now because it would have been nice to do that actually. I believe this is Val. Yeah, that's Val. That's Julian's friend Val introduced me to him. Yeah, she gave me like a fake piece of bread to hit Julian with. I know that sounds really weird, but I got to hit Julian a couple times and then give her back the bread. So that was that. And this is a booth of, this is 1UP Games or Super 1UP Games. They're a store in Hamilton. They have 2 different stores. I've actually done full videos on their stores. You can check that out if you want to at any time. But yeah, there was, at this thing, like I said, it was all things geek. So there was only like 3 video game booths specifically, but still pretty cool. So that was ConBravo, and I want to thank everyone who came out to meet me there. That was really awesome that a lot of people did. Now ConBravo, as you obviously noticed, wasn't really a gaming convention, even though it did have a few gaming tables. So I obviously went and checked those out. And I got a few things. However, I got things in a very unconventional sense. As I was wandering around, I was approached by a guy named Wesley, who's a fan of the channel. I believe he's actually the one who told me about ConBravo in the first place. Like he set that spark. Like if he hadn't told me about it, I never would have ended up going. Because once he told me about it, I emailed the con, and then they knew who I was, and they're like, we'll bring you out, and blah blah blah. So that was all you, Wesley, and thank you very much for arranging that. But when he met me, he was talking to me for a bit, and he gave me some games. Kudos to him because I don't even remember this. He brought up the fact that, like, in an episode of Playload I did like 2 years ago or something like that, I showed off a Game Boy Color game that I had picked up. And I mentioned I never pick up Game Boy Color games. Like, it never happens. And he's like, I want to change that. So he actually gave me a couple Game Boy Color games. Nothing special here, but it's just the fact that he did it. It was amazing. First up is Cyber Tiger. Obviously, that is a Tiger Woods golf game. And the other one is E.T., the Extraterrestrial Digital Companion. And he described it as substantially worse than the Atari 2600 game. So, obviously, I can't wait to try this out. I know they're both like crap games, but who cares? It's the principle of the matter. That was just really cool of him to do. He also hooked me up with a couple of Famicom games, which was pretty surprising. One is called Dynamite Bowl, and the other is called Perfect Bowling. And he told me the reason that he wanted me to have these. He said when it came to the NES, there was only one bowling game released in North America. I don't remember the name of it offhand, probably something like Pro Bowling. But that's what he told me, and so he's like, here's 2 more, they're both Famicom games, but if you like bowling, you can play bowling games on your Nintendo. And I was like, alright. Even though, yeah, it was just nice of him to do. I don't think I've ever expressed as much of an interest in bowling, but it's the fact that he did that that's just, you know, really cool. So again, thank you, Wesley, for that. That was very nice of you to do. Now the other thing, well, you know what, I'm going to show you another little random item I got here. My buddy Mike came out, and he came out to my panels along with, of course, his girlfriend. Her name is Sarah, and Julian, who's another buddy of mine. They came out to a bunch of my panels, and Mike hooked me up with a t-shirt for his company. It says on the back, 8-Bit Daily. Now the thing is, I was going to wear this shirt in the video, dude, but I don't know if this is like a production error or what, because this is written on the back of the shirt and the front is nothing. So if I had worn your shirt, it would have just been blank. So I don't know if that's supposed to be intentional or what, but anyway, This is the best I'm going to do for you on the channel, just because this is the only way I can show the logo, unless I did a video backwards or I wore the shirt backwards or something. But there you go, 8-Bit Daily. Thank you, Mike, for the t-shirt. And now, there was a couple of games at 1UP Games I was going to pick up. You know, I found a couple of items, and I went to buy them. And while I was doing that, the guy says, "Oh, your games are covered." And I was questioning all the possible reasons that could be. Maybe it was because I was a guest of the convention. Maybe it's because at 1UP Games, I've done videos on their store in the past in previous years when I've been up there, so I thought maybe they're like, "Oh, you know, you've done videos for us, we're just going to give you some free games," or something like that. I was going through the possible options as to why that would be. What I did not expect is when he said, "Oh, your games are covered because of that guy," and he points over at this dude whose name is Roberto. He came out to all of my panels. Thank you, Roberto, for doing that. His Twitter is Mini Ninjas. I'll put a link to it in the description. He just decided to buy my games, like you might buy somebody a drink, and that was really cool of him. I did not expect him to do that, because I mean, I had my credit card, I was all set and ready to go. But the games that I got is SSX Tricky for the OG Xbox. It's a game I've needed. It's on the list. I don't see it super often, and when I do, it's usually more expensive than I was willing to pay. They were asking 10 Canadian, which would be about 7 USD. Usually I see it for like 10 USD, so it wasn't going to be an amazing deal, but since Roberto paid for it, it's a super amazing deal. And the other one I got is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 for the N64. The reason I picked this up is when I was driving around with my buddy Scott, the Canadian, we were just talking about last games for any console, like what they were. And we were just, curious, and I was saying the ones I remembered offhand, he was saying the ones he remembered offhand, and he mentioned for N64 that the last game ever produced was this one, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. And I thought, oh, that'd be just kind of cool just to have on that simple basis, because I've picked up games on that basis before. And it was surprisingly cheap. It was only 15 Canadian, which again, that'd be about, like 11 or 12 US. So I was like, yeah, alright, I could pull the trigger on that. That's not that big of a deal. But then again, I didn't have to, because Roberto ultimately bought the game. So thank you to Roberto for that. Thank you to Wesley for the games. Thank you to Mike for the t-shirt. Thank you to everybody who came out to ConBravo. And thank you, of course, to ConBravo themselves for having me there. That was fantastic. I really hope I get to go again next year. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all later.